Hello, insiders! Newsflash time. First item, in YouTube Studio, you can now find all videos with copyright claims in 2 clicks. You just go to the video list, click on the filters, and then select copyright claims, and bam, you will see all of them in that filtered list. So that was a request from a lot of creators back when Studio was still in beta. Even though we're out of beta, we will continue making improvements because Studio is where we're focusing all our efforts on improving creator tools. Speaking of improvements to Studio, you can now apply to the YouTube Partner Program from Studio. A few things. One is when you apply, if you're not in the YouTube Partner Program and you want to apply, we will have a more accurate calculation of your watch time for eligibility. Back in the days of Classic, that watch time counter included public and private videos, which are not counted for YPP eligibility. So a lot of people were thinking they were eligible because of Classic, and they weren't, and that was causing confusion. So obviously, we fixed that for Studio. Next, you can also choose to receive a proactive email notification when you hit those criteria, so you don't have to keep going back all the time. And then, Classic used to make you apply to AdSense just to see the progress for your eligibility, which doesn't make a lot of sense. So now you can see your eligibility and progress right away. You can see the requirements. Once you meet them, you can then accept the terms and then set up your AdSense account. And then we usually will get back to you now within 30 days. You can even save your progress if you're in the middle of applying. So that's a lot of benefits of YouTube Studio over the legacy Classic Studio, which nobody should be using. In fact, just as a reminder, we announced, I'll put a link below in our forum and on Twitter, that YouTube Studio is no longer YouTube Studio Beta. It's just YouTube Studio. It's the YouTube Studio. And then the legacy Classic thing will be going away. In fact, within about 2 weeks of this recording, we'll start removing general access to Classic Studio, which is that little link on the bottom left corner of YouTube Studio, for about 1% of creators. And then starting in January, we'll start removing that link for a lot more creators and eventually everybody. And if you're worried about, whoa, I rely on parts of Classic that are linked to in Studio, like the end screen editor, or the info card editor, or the audio library, or status and features, those kinds of things, don't worry. That's not going away until we have a native Studio version. What is going away is just the general access. So those specific features that are deep linked from Studio into Classic, still going to have it, but general roaming around access, that's going away. Next, if you have a playlist that's public that indicates all of your liked videos, that playlist will be made private. What we found was very little usage, and even some people didn't realize that they had it set to public, and they weren't happy to see that the videos they liked were being displayed to everybody. So now those liked videos playlists will be made private, so you'll still be able to see it if you want. And it will have no change to like counts on the video or your ability to like videos. This is only the visibility of the playlist of all your liked videos. Okay, next, there's an experiment that will allow a small percentage of people to share other people's posts on YouTube. We'll see how it goes, see what people think. But if you see it, that's what's going on. It's a small percentage of people. Next, P-scores. People were asking about they gave me some information that I will now share with you. So regarding P-scores, number one, we have published very detailed rules of the road for creators to know what are considered, ad-friendly guidelines and what you can do to make your content as advertiser-friendly as possible. Those are designed to help creators take meaningful action. Now, concurrently, we also have internal scoring mechanisms that are mainly used for machines and automated processes. And when we share data externally, what we want is for it to be useful to creators, and we also want to make sure it's not abused, because if it is abused, what happens is it affects all creators. So if some bad actor is doing some terrible things on YouTube that affects advertisers in a negative way, sometimes the advertisers don't just take actions that affect those bad actors, they take actions that affect everybody. So we got to be really careful about only providing stuff that's useful and that is unlikely to be abused. Talking about P-scores, we have talked about it publicly in the past. They're primarily used for Google Preferred. So Google Preferred is an advertising program that allows advertisers to target from generally like the top 5% of channels on YouTube. But it's not very useful to creators because that P-score is a relative score. It's sort of relative to the market and the lineup that's currently available. So there's not much you can do about it. It's not very actionable. It doesn't even explain your Google Preferred eligibility very well. And that's why we have the advertiser-friendly guidelines. If you meet the advertiser-friendly guidelines in letter and spirit, that is your best chance of having maximum monetization, including eventually eligibility for Google Preferred if the conditions warrant it. The other thing is that we should want to just reinforce that monetization, like whether you get ads or not, which ads you get, how much you get paid, and search and discovery, home, watch next, search results, they have separate goals. There's actually two different teams, separate goals. Obviously, the monetization stuff, the goal is for to serve advertisers and to generate revenue for creators. But on the search and discovery side, they're very focused on viewer experience. And so search and discovery will focus on viewers regardless of monetization status, as long as they can convince themselves that this video will deliver a positive viewer experience. However, here's the nuance that might not be obvious. Both monetization and search and discovery, yes, they're separate teams. Yes, they have separate logic. They have separate goals. They may, however, sometimes use this similar data. Not entirely, but they may have some overlap. So a perfect example is mature content. So if a video has mature content, the monetization team may say, well, I have this family-friendly advertiser. They don't want their brand or their advertising associated with very mature content. And therefore, they may decide not to show ads for that video, or that video may not be eligible for all ads or some ads or whatever. On the search and discovery side, if they determine that a video has mature content and someone is watching, very general audience type content, then in Watch Next, they may not want to recommend a mature content video because maybe their determination is that, this viewer watches general content, does not watch mature content. Maybe we have information that suggests that that viewer doesn't want mature content. So that's an example where you may say, it hasn't been fully monetized and it's also not getting a lot of Watch Next recommendations. It's the same system, when it's actually two systems making decisions independently but they ended up making decisions that affected the creator in both monetization and search and discovery. So that is a little bit about the P-score stuff. Hopefully that was helpful. If you have questions, put the comments in below. I should also note I don't work in that team, so that was just sort of my take from talking to them, and I took some notes. Next, copyright. So a lot of folks have questions about, hey, what's fair use? Is this fair use? Or can I include this amount of music? How does Content ID work? So the fine people at the Creator Academy have produced some new videos explaining all of that stuff. So go check it out. Links below if you want to learn more about copyright and inform yourself so that you can navigate those requirements better in the future. Lastly, Creator Insider is getting on board with Mr. Beast's challenge to plant 20 million trees by 2020. Check out the video linked below. That's it for this week. Hope that was helpful. In the meantime, keep it real. All right, you guys still there? Last week's quote was from Die Hard. Such a good movie. And the first person to guess it was Jack Zen. So congratulations to Jack. This week's quote is from one of my favorite movies. For anyone who's been watching Creator Insider, I am sure I've done this movie before. It is from a particular decade. It is from the 1990s. And here's the quote. You ready for this? You're not going to do that. I'm not. No. You've got yourself a chip in the big game now. You're going to tuck that away, save that for a time when your own ass is on the line. And then you're going to pull it out. And I'm going to cash it in for you, right? I don't think I have anything more to say to you, sir. Such a good movie. If you know what quote that movie, if you know what movie that quote is from, put it in the comments below. It will show you have great taste in movies. And the first person who guesses it, I will give a shout out next week. So you guys keep it real.